thank you to everyone watching us on YouTube. Appreciate it. And all the other platforms, X, Twitter, or X and Twitter, same thing, X and Twitch. We're on LinkedIn today as well. Welcome, LinkedIn viewers. Today is Technical Tuesday, in which Pedro and I go over the markets in general around the world and let them know how that affects your bags, your day trading bags, and perhaps maybe even give you a little education so that when you're listening to the mainstream media, you can go, that's BS, that's BS, that's BS. That's right. I'll pay attention to that person over there. So welcome to this show. And so we're just going to blow right through that commercial there, Pedro, and just go to the next. Well, welcome, everyone. Welcome, Kaching, in the house. Thanks for joining us all the way from the communist state of Minnesota. Welcome, Crypto Unicorns. Welcome, Mikester. Mikester is in the house. I know, I've been on a roll lately, haven't I?
So good.
Fire Chicken says, Fire is soon to be joined by New York City. Fire Chicken says, when premium time? There's a good chance Mrs. Striking is out of town, as they say. So I am le bachelor tonight, which means no distraction.
I'm doing hot yoga. Dang it! You gotta let me know these, dog. Not hot yoga. I'm doing Christian yoga, actually. My friend. I'm serious.
I can do the cross. I'm doing the cross yoga.
No, man, it's interesting. My friend is.
Well, hold on. We got time to talk about this.
Yeah. There you go.
Welcome, Mikester, to the house. Yes, we do need viewers for premium. I don't count on any, and a lot of times when I've done it, there have been no viewers. But fortunately, our good man Chuck has signed up, and will come and put a couple of devices on roll and listen to me ramble. It's a much more calm show. I do it from the Space Lounge, and just talk about generally my trading strategy for the week. However, this week I have not been trading because lots of other things going on in real life world, as they say. The Mrs. Striking and I have actually formed another new business venture, Pedro. Which,
really?
Has nothing to do with any of the current ones, but is kind of media based. I'll tell you about that later when we go public with it. But soon, and it's even gonna involve social media too.
Well, of
videoing
course.
And that type of stuff. So,
Ooh,
but I've been working on. I've been working on that. It's not going to involve any live streaming though, so that's good. But anyway, so welcome everybody to the show on all the platforms. This is the bottom of the hour section of our show, which is going to go by really quickly here because there's only 3 minutes left on the bottom of the hour, and I'm going to try and get Pedro back on schedule here for Technical Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro, I cut you off right when you were about to say something, and I can't remember what it was.
It's okay, man. It's all right. I was going to say something about the yoga. My friend runs a yoga thing. His wife does it, and it's pretty cool. So I used to dance back in the day when I used to do
the man's got moves. He doesn't got move like Jagger. He got moves like Baryshnikov.
It was funny,
I got moves like Baryshnikov.
It was funny is I was talking with somebody and they're like, you never dance, because at the time I was like it was when I was around 280, and he goes, there's no way you dance. He just he laughed. He goes, you're too thick. And I said, you want to see something cool? He goes, yeah. So there's a move in ballet and everybody's very famous. They'll jump and their legs go like this.
Yeah.
Right. And then they come down and do a plie and they're like, boom. Right. And so I just jumped up and did a pop, 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 pop. Yeah. And then came back down and kind of plied. And he looks at me, he's like, that was so graceful, dog. I was like, I said, he was so blown away. And so I started doing some stuff and he started calling and I started cracking. I said, I told you, man. I mean, I don't try to blow smoke up your, whatever, right? I'm like being real with you. And he started cracking up. But it was one of those moments that, I don't typically do it, but he was a good friend and he thought I was BSing him. And so I don't try to, you know me.
Pedro, I was in an elevator in Dubai a long time ago. And Dubai is known for a large population of Russians with money to move there, like especially a lot of people that are out of favor with the government. And they move their families and stuff there. I'm riding in the elevator in my building once, and the lady was talking to someone else in the elevator in English, and they're like, "Oh, it's good to see you that you're back. Yeah, and you brought your granddaughter or something like that, whatever." And she says, "Is this the ballerina?" And the grandmother looks at the girl, and just standing there like holding groceries and stuff. The girl, without even moving and checking her balance, just picks up her leg, puts it straight up in the air, like boop, and then comes down and with her toe,
slow,
hits the floor button. And I mean, it was one of those things that you were like,
wow.
Yeah. As a man, you're like, must marry that person. Then you're like, she's probably 16. Better get out of this elevator. But anyway, it was very impressive, and it was funny. It was funny because the old mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, this short little Jewish guy with half a finger, he was also quite the ballet dancer, and he had a big history of it. And he was a brusque person, as they say, brusque. And people would talk about it, and he's basically like, F you, can you do that? Okay, shut up. I'm the mayor, you're not, shut up.
Yeah. I remember, so I do legs, right, at the gym. So I'll do my deep squats and all this stuff. The reason I'm saying this is, after that, so I can engage the whole entire muscle, I will lift my leg up, just like I can L form. So I just basically, in my torso like this, and when leg comes up, it's mid-weight, right? And I'm doing that because I want to engage the full muscle there. And I was doing it at the gym, and I almost and I'll faint. Sometimes I'll literally get to the point where I'm almost faint because I'm working my legs so hard. And so I sit there, I grab hold of this thing, and I feel my body starting to kind of lose weight because your blood starts to flow into that area. So I did it, and I'm like, and one of the guys comes over, and he's just like, "You're all right, man?" And I said, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm just trying to get the full blood flow into the pump." And he goes, "Dude, you hold your leg for 15, 20 seconds after your set." And I look at him, I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get the full blood flow. He goes, "I don't even understand how you're doing that." And I go, "Well, I did ballet." And you learn to be able to hold positions even through incredible pain. It's just the pain that you get, you have to go through to be able to do some of this stuff is real. So if you want to learn how to handle pain with grace, become a Christian and do ballet. Anyways.
And then do Christian yoga.
And then do Christian yoga. Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to go do Christian yoga, which is the longest story, roundabout way to be able to tell you a little bit about my life. It's crazy. Anyways, let's talk about...
Hey, hold on. Before we do that, Pedro, I'm not getting served ads, so I'm going to take this time to do our own ad here.
Yes, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DYOR Media Network. Give me a moment to shine here and talk about what Pedro and I have created here, and to see if you like to participate in any sort of manner at all. Meaning, Pedro and I are always looking for sponsors for our show, and we have a number of categories on our website that says sponsor or hire us. We need product placements, we need segment sponsors, we need technology sponsors, trade show partners. If you have a product and you want to come up with a cool segment on our show to showcase it, just let us know. We'll come up with something. If you have a product, you want energy drink sitting next to me, I'll take your butt-smelling ass drink right here, and no problem. Pedro and I will take care of it. And specifically, if you're CDW, Micro Center, or Canada Electronics Canada, and you want to sponsor a show and have your name talked about every time we open our mouths, let us know, because we want you to help us get our technology up to the middle of this century instead of the last century. And of course, if you're a trade show operator or a booth operator or somebody that's attending a trade show that needs coverage of it, so Pedro and I do. If you can see on the list here, engaging our personalities, we'll host your podcast, we'll produce your live events in the crypto and digital asset sphere, and your live, as in us being on camera live, doing live commentary of it. And so I thought I'd take this time to remind everyone that we're here to make money. And if you pay us to do that, we'll be happy to. Also, I wanted to also put out there is that the DYOR Media Network is ideally we'd like to broadcast all the time, like a major news channel and all that. And right now, we need about 40 hours of content a week. We get about 10 hours of content a week, a little bit more, sometimes 15 in a week. And if you want to join, if you have an idea for a crypto show and want to give it a shot, let us know. Let us know, and we'd be happy to host your crypto-themed show here on our network. We're not going to produce it, but we'll distribute it for you all along our outlets and give you an opportunity to come up with good content instead of worrying about the technical issues behind the scenes. And if you're interested in joining our family, go to our website, dyornetwork.media, and click the Join Our Network, a menu item right while it's over. Click. I didn't realize it's going to be off the side of the thing over there. Click that and do Join Our Broadcasting Calendar. So thanks to, as they say, putting up with my little ad here. We didn't earn any money on that ad.
It's okay, but we got our thing. You know, what's interesting is, my history. I kind of was in the beauty field for a minute, and so I had a friend of mine. I actually reached out to her.
Wait, hold on. Tell this story. I'm trying to follow the timer here. Tell the story in 30 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, trying to do this, it's really hard, but one of these days we'll be able to pay a production engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DYOR Media in the beginning of our second half hour of our show today. It's September 16th, 2025. This is Technical Tuesday for us, in which we go over the world's leading economic indicators in this segment of the show to talk about or to bring you knowledge and education about that. The markets are moving a little bit today, less than I thought they'd be. Everything is down. Dow Jones is down 127, the NASDAQ down 22. And amazingly enough, the Russell 2000 is only down 11, and the VIX is basically unchanged, with Bitcoin pumping a little bit. So Bitcoin moving against the markets here today, which is a good thing to see sometimes. Anyway, it's Technical Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to press this button. Come on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for come on, you can do it, system. There we go. Thanks for joining us for Technical Tuesday. Pedro, I know I cut you off in the middle of the story, but this is your half hour to shine.
Yes.
What's the story?
Beauty. Beauty school. Or no, so I went to beauty school.
Beauty school dropout.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Grease. And long story short, I reached out to her yesterday, and I said, "Hey, I know you do New York Fashion Week. I have a media. We have a media business where we go out and we cover things." And yeah. And she's like, "You know what? I think we are looking. There are segments that we're looking to do where we're trying to introduce crypto." And she's like, "Let me reach out to some people and see if I can actually have you do some coverage." And I said, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm not joking." They were talking about it, and so yeah. So we might be doing like commentary on NFTs for pictures on haircuts for people. That's kind of what they're talking about. And
there's a take on that.
Right. And so like, like almost like trading cards for like models in a sense. And so it's one of those things that, like Gucci, Armani, they're trying to get into the digital world. And one of the ways is, and simply is just take a picture of a model, right? And then make that into an NFT fashion. And then they would be able to sit there and see which one is really catchy and what they could actually really use as advertising push based off of the sale of that NFT. So really interesting. I think it's really interesting what they're trying to do. And so I simply just said, yeah, if you're looking, we'd love to have it. I've been I was in the beauty industry for a small period in time. And so we'll see what happens. I didn't want to promise it. I was going to tell you, but I was like, we'll see what happens. You know, if we can get in there, they are looking at a couple other big name people, big name people. But
well, I would not think that they would put all their eggs in one basket and would want multiple people talking about their stuff.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there, but we'll find out. And they don't even know if they're going to do the NFT thing. They're talking about it and they want to do it. So we'll find out. We will find out. Anyhow, let's talk about what is happening around the world with the markets and what is happening with people. So let's go ahead here and look at it. All right, so as I always say, let's start meta. Let's look at what's actually happening in the world's market and see what is moving. We talked about the gap down, and I was really expecting this to kind of go up then come down because we went straight up. But this market, again, it's still pushing up. Now, I want to add this, it's halfway through the month already, as you can see. It's the 16th. Yet, we have been seeing over the last few months the volume coming into this our ETF. It is the world's ETF. It literally kind of lets us know what the market is doing, and all the top stocks. It's URTH. And the key point behind this is an indication of really how the world is doing. And you can see, even though we keep seeing it go up, and I started talking about this last month, right? I'm really expecting kind of a sell-off because we're seeing volume drop, right? And instead of it should, if we were going to see a market really pick up, we would want to see an increase in volume, something that would look more like it would have reminiscent of this type of movement here, where we want to see the market push up, right? Something similar to this, boom, push up in the market, in the volume, right? Or something like this, boom, we see it kind of come up this way, right? That's what we're looking for. But now we're seeing the opposite of it. And this is what we call a divergence. And that divergence is a simple process of money, even though it's going into the market, the institutions are pulling out. And the novices keep buying the market as it pushes up here. And so this is a clear indication of a slowdown in the world's economy over the last few months. Even though we keep seeing record highs, the institutions are not behind this. And so I say that because we gapped down. We went up first we went up first. And we know that if we go up first in the market, most likely we're going to see it come down. And so I'm really paying attention to how we finish off this month on a volume. We're not even halfway through. We're halfway through. We're not even halfway volume. We might be at 40% of the volume. And so it's an indication that most likely we're going to see a drop in this market. And it's, it's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing. And so I'm a little bit hesitant. If we come in with a little bit less volume again at the end of the month, I expect it to see a turnaround.
How do you take advantage of if it's going to pull back as a whole? I know you could, you can do an NASDAQ futures or something like that, but is there a way? Yeah, without just buying the ETF, are there
there
options
should
on this ETF?
Well, you can do that. Also, you can do a reverse ETF. So we can do reverse
ETF.
No, serious. ETF on.
You buy it to go down.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's one of those things that I always say, if you're looking for a reverse ETF on the opposite of the iShare MIC World ETF, URTH. Here's the scoop. Mid-cap stocks from 23 developing countries. It is broad global equity ETF. America gains my.
Where the fuck is the? There it is.
So you actually have this area right here. I'm gonna broaden this out so you guys can sit there and see it. Should be able to see it now. Let me know if you can see this, Tom. On it.
Okay.
1 second. All right, perfect. So you guys can see here on the EFZ, okay, which is basically kind of a 1x, or they call it a reverse 1x of target developed market outside the North America. So if those start to fall, outside markets start to fall, you will actually come in and you'll see an increase to your portfolio. And so it's important to understand that this is not financial advice. This is educational and social entertainment purposes only. We are edutainment, not necessarily. We are not licensed brokers. So I want to throw this out there just so that you know. But if you're trying to take part of this, you can take it. Now, the dog, I was going to bring up the dog, which is based in ETF of the reverse of the Dow Jones. So if we start to see a downfall or we start to see a turnaround in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we're going to then see this. It's called DOG, which is an ETF, which will go up. So it's important to understand. Now, remember, we always talk about the 8-period moving average on the daily. As it starts to break, you can take advantage of this as the Dow Jones starts to break, and we see this dog, and we'll pull it up here in just a second. But you can see here you have the dog, you have the SH, which is again U.S. large cap. It's an inverse ETF. You also have the SDS, which is more of aggressive. It's 2x. So if the US goes down 1, this will go up 2. And then you also have the Russell daily, which is again a reverse ETF, which is RWM. And so you can sit there and play these by simply just buying and then getting out after the move is done by selling off. These also have options. So if you would like to create options on them as well, you can do the same thing. So that's how they can actually take advantage of that. All right, so let's pull this up here again so we'll move forward here. Or you can also just take the ETF on this one. There are options on this, and you can just write a cover call to create premium, right? As it sells off, you just do it low, or you can literally go through and sell a put, which is basically saying that the market will not go above this high, and long story, receive premium based off of this. So it's a good little way to play it. And Tom, do you have any questions for me?
No, but it's that time. That was good though. I got your attention with the button. It was very good. Just a quick shout out to everyone watching. We have this marked as audience interaction section, as you know, we all interact with you anyway. But thanks to everyone that's watching on all the different platforms. We really appreciate it. Once again, I would read a Rumble ad at this point. We have enough people and viewers to do that, but they're not serving them again, just like yesterday. I opened up a technical support ticket, and they're like, basically they said, because yesterday they got bombed with like 500,000 people watching during the JD Vance thing, and their viewership is way up again today. They're like, yeah, this system is not working great, and we're focusing on the streaming part. Everything else, like not even the banners are working here today. Well, he said everything else is sidelines. We've got to get the streams out. So I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but anyway, that's just me saying, yeah, they're growing. Unfortunately, the Charlie Kirk thing brought a lot of viewers into Rumble because it was kind of the home of his crowd, that type of stuff. Anyway, so thanks to everybody watching us on all the different platforms. If you're watching on LinkedIn, my comment machine is not working that well for LinkedIn because LinkedIn keeps changing their code. So come on over here to Rumble, drop a comment, or YouTube, drop a comment, and interact with us. We have some. We always have time to answer questions from the audience. But other than that, Pedro and I are moving on to the next section of the show.
Yeah, so let's check out here what's actually happening with the S&P 500. It's look very similar to what we were looking at. We are the largest part of that ETF because from a market cap, our tech stocks are really over leveraged there, or not over leveraged, but just from a market cap standpoint, we just dominate that in that ETF. So you're going to see it look very similar to the S&P 500. And you can see here, we gap down very similar, and now we're pushing them again. This is the monthly chart. The reason why I'm looking at this, the monthly, because we're halfway through the month, right? And so we're going to gauge, we would see it go up, and now we most likely might see it come back down here. And I'm saying that because if Powell, I honestly, I think they have gone through and that they have literally went and said, we're most likely going to do this. I think this is kind of a rope-a-dope because everybody's buying. We're watching volume drop off here. And because of that, I would expect it might see a sell-off first before we see it go back up here. And so the fact is that this week we gapped up into supply. And the part that I don't like, and let's go ahead and go into the ES part right here. That last month or last week, we did not put a demand wick here. And then this week, we did not put a demand wick as well. So I'm at my view is to really lean towards a short here now. And so this is where, yeah. Yes. And so that's why I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm impressed because you're traditionally following the trend, and the trend has been up, as we can see.
Yes.
Apparently, Pedro has his breaking point also here.
Well, yes and no. Again, the market needs to show me that it wants to go down, right? And so right now, we saw a huge gap up from last night. Right, we literally closed on the ES, which is the S&P 500 futures. And you can see here we went 66. We went up. We went from 66.21 all the way up to 66.73, which is pretty fairly big gap. You can see here, and there's only 1 hour break here. Between this, it trades 24.5 or 24.6. Because it opens, I don't know what to say, because it closed on Friday and opens up on Sunday. So we'll just say 24.5.5, 6. And the reason why I bring that up is this gap here. You don't really see gaps like this. You just don't look. You can see here very rarely. This type of gap is kind of reminiscent of like a weekend gap, right? Like a Monday from a Friday to a Monday, right? You can see here, but not midday. Like very rarely do you have that type of gap that is just that exaggerated, right? You can see here, you had one right here, but this is back in when Trump was talking about taking care of the tariffs, and he kind of quailed his speech on harsh treatment towards the global markets. So that's why we saw that gap up. But this should not have done this. This is why I want to sit there and be like, I think we could be seeing a turnaround here at these levels, especially with that big gap up and then the sell-off here. So just be careful here. They might be pushing up to bring it down for the market, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to continue down fully. But just keep that in the back of your mind so that you're not looking if they come out and say, hey, they're going to they're going to drop rates. Be ready potentially for a sell-off first, right? And then another push back up. Just be mindful of that, because if that does do that, you can take advantage of that, again, through the reverse ETFs, as well as options, as well as just simply staying out of the market or getting out of positions that you don't necessarily agree with, right? So this is what we're looking at. Now, if you come back and you look at this area here, excuse me, I don't see a timer. If you don't mind putting that timer on, bud, for me, so I can know.
Oh, it didn't start.
Yeah.
It's going to adjust here in a second. That's weird.
All right, no worries. I just want to make sure that I want to be mindful of that, because that keeps us on track. All right, and it keeps me on track of where I need to keep going. So I like it. I like order. So you know me. All right. I may be ADD, but the order keeps me. Keeps the ADD somewhat intact. All right, so let's move forward here. After 30 years.
Quick shout out to a new commenter, Cubicent. Mm-hmm. Managed to catch you all live for a change. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Another Rumble viewer.
Oh, awesome! Love to have you. Thank you for coming in and hanging out with us. Always love to know where you're coming from. And you said you've been watching us. So where are you catching us from? Love to hear it. All right, let's kind of move forward here. And please, we're an interactive show, so we love to interact with our guys who watch us, our gals who watch us, and love to connect with you. So, all right, let's move forward here, bud. Russell 2000. So Russell 2000 is also the RTY. Is actually starting to see a bit of a sell-off, which is might be indication of where we might be at, what might be happening. Okay, so this is where I'm kind of like waiting. If we see today close further down and higher volume in the sellers, then I'm going to be kind of watching this. Now, the people that the rates are going to really affect are going to be small to mid-sized businesses, right? Because right now they've been really struggling, and the drop in rates is going to help them in relationship to being able to receive more capital, to keep capital to be able to push money into their business. It's going to make money cheaper. So this is really who it's going to affect, I think, the most. So if we see this thing go down, expect this to go back up. This will be one of the first things that we see push up here, right? So I'm paying attention here to the Russell 2000 in this play here. We're going to see, again, now let's check out the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is bullish as always, as we always say. The NQ, you can see here that they also gapped up. And the other part behind this, again, is this is going to be similar to what we're looking for with the S&P 500. The part that we need to be mindful, again, is seeing big volume on the hour chart. So you want to stay between that 30 minutes and hour chart. You start to see big volume, excessive volume coming in to the downside with big seller wicks where it pushes up, then comes down, sells off, and closes at the bottom where you don't see a big demand wick, right? That is what it would basically be the opposite of this, right? You see how this is kind of going down and then pulls back up. We want to see it close very similar to this right here, where we see it kind of go up and closes down. See it go up, close down, pulls back. But you can see as it continues down that it starts to keep that seller wick or that buyer wick, a very small buyer wick. And so that's what we're looking for. The NASDAQ here engage and engage in that. Now we should see some type of push up here, right? As we come down into the base here, because this is where we saw a lot of buyers come, we're starting to fill the gap. And so that's going to be around that 24,320 area. It's very important here as you're looking at this is that is that 50-period moving average. It's most likely going to have a push up from there. And so don't get thrown off if they push this market up, then to drop it. And that would be one of the areas that you're going to see it pump on the NASDAQ. And this is the same area that you're going to see on every single market for the YM. Similar situation right here. You can see right now. See how on YM we bounced on the 50 period and we pushed up. Don't get rope-a-dope there. All right, be ready. And here we go. Now let's go into the bonds because we've been talking about bonds and yields. And remember, there's a difference. Bonds and yields are inverse. So when bonds go down, right, yields go up. When yields go down, bonds go up. Interest rates, right, which is the yield on the bond, is predicated on what the Fed puts the rate at. So if they lower the yield, right, the interest rate on the bond, so they're going to drop it, then what's going to happen is bonds are going to go up. And so let's talk about that here. Now, last week we talked about the markets coming down to these areas here. I think ultimately we're coming down to the 330, the 325 area to the 30 or to the 3%, 3.25 to 3% area here. I think we're coming down to there. And so that means that we're going to see everything else kind of come down, which means we're going to see an explosion of bonds push up. And we've talked about how we could take advantage over the last few weeks here. So it's imperative that you pay attention to these during these times now, because you can take advantage of these movements in the market by basically understanding yields, because everything is based off of how much people can make or how much they're spending on the dollars that they're borrowing. And so it's very clear. And if I made that too confusing, just look at it like this. When it comes down to the market, everything is based off of bonds because every business has to borrow money to keep things going. And if I'm borrowing that money and it's 5% and it goes to 4%, I have 1% extra to put into my business. Okay. And so as we see bonds start to go, and in addition to that, I want to sell my bonds as a business or as a government. And so with that said, bonds should go up in price because of that. All right. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does.
Alrighty then. Okay. You can see here we're coming down here. The 3 month, very similar. We talked about these lower areas here. 6 month in particular, down here at the 2% for the 6 month, and then 2 year. We talked about this lower area. We're coming up to this liquidity area here. Same thing with the 5 year. We went over this again. I talked about that 225 to 2, or 325 to 3%. 10-year yield, similar. We're coming back down to that 375 area here, which I was talking about. 20-year coming down to the 435. We bounced off the 400, but we're now continuing down. We found the 8%. And the 30-year, you can see the same thing coming down into this area of that 70. And then the lower area from there, I think we honestly could see it come back down to that 425, 450 area, which is going to be here on our 30-year yield. All right, Tom, go ahead and take over, my friend. Any questions you have for me?
Nope. Here, I was just trying to come up with some graphics while you were talking over there. And I put the join our network thing, and when it should automatically appear.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the wrong. It should automatically appear when it's needs to be below the pricing graphic.
It's all right, man.
There we go. So if we're talking about Bitcoin and stuff like that, but then all I got to do is hit that button, and it says join our network over there, ladies and gentlemen. See? So it's putting this time to good use here while you're explaining bonds and yields and all that. But I do see that is this prices or yields here? This is yields. They're reacting to the market as getting cheaper. Is this in? I have to say, while I was doing this, I did miss what you were saying. Why would they be coming down now? Is that because the market is anticipating good things from the Fed? And
yes.
And they're feeling good about the U.S. government for a small window of time.
I wouldn't necessarily say they feel good about the U.S. government or not. It's just money. It's like when people were doing the carry trade with Japan, right? They were sitting there. I mean, Japan for almost 30, 15 to 30, based on where you want to say, like in the 90s, right? People would literally send their money to Japan because they could get it cheaper. That was it, right? And then they would carry trade it and receive more yield off of it. So if I can borrow money base that is cheaper in America, okay, and then take that amount and then throw it into, let's say, China's economy, throw it into Russia's economy, which has been depressed for the last few years, right? Your percentage of gain off of that is dramatically different, right? You have an asymmetrical trade, and so you have a very low yield on what you're buying, and then in additionally to that, you also have a low yield, or you have a high reward on if you're going to put it into these emerging markets. And so this is where you want to be able to gauge: can I borrow money for cheap and then put it into action and receive more alpha for that? And so this is important to understand the nuance there. It's not necessarily people trust us, but it's just where can they make the most money, or where's the biggest bang for their buck. And so I think that's one of those things that's really the real play at. Now, in addition, I see that we have 15 seconds left. When I'm looking at this market, you can see here before the top of the hour when we speak, you can see here our 10-year is playing. You can see how it's playing into our hands, right? This is the 10-year bond. And so we've talked about this market going up to these higher levels of 122 to the 121. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if we just see an explosion after tomorrow. Go ahead, my friend.
QR code works. Pedro, we are somebody now. Not only we have good information for people so that they can make monies on that and learn, but they can come and say, oh my God, these guys are so good, their QR codes even work. Join our network, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we haven't had any luck reading, making the monies from the Rumble ads today, but we have been on the air for an hour, so we need, as they say, a quick break at the top of the hour. We'll be back in 3 minutes, so stick with us here.
Put this in. Shoot. All right, I'm gonna drop this now off.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to DYOR Live. Here is the top of the hour. It is September 16th, 2025. You're listening to DYOR Media Network's primetime show called DYOR Live, starring the none other than Pedro Damas, known as Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking. The market today kind of mixed. Dow's down 100 points. Russell 2000 down 10. S&P down just 4 measly points. And the VIX is basically unchanged, with Bitcoin pumping all the way up to 116 for, I don't know if that's the spot or the futures price. I can't ever tell. But that graph right there is going up, ladies and gentlemen. So Bitcoin moving against the market today. That must mean some good news in Bitcoin that I didn't take into account. But Pedro and I have been going over, or Pedro's been going over the great things in the markets here while I've been effing around with the graphics. But we've got a lot for you in this half hour too of the show as Technical Tuesday is continuing. So thanks to all of you watching the show. As always, please comment. We are an interactive show. If you are watching on a big screen TV, do us a favor. Pick up your phone, go to rumble.com. That's the next QR code I'm going to put up there, Pedro. Go to rumble.com, search DYOR Media, and click join or follow or whatever it is if you need an account. It's easy to log into Rumble. You can use your Google account, you can use your Facebook account or Apple account, whatever. And interact with us. Follow us, repost, like, do all that thing. Ask questions. We're here as your edutainment. Pedro's been providing most of the edu, and today I've been a lot more of the attainment. So, but it's Tuesday. It's Technical Tuesday. This is Pedro's day to shine. So I let him do that. Anyway, once again, thank you to everyone that's watching, including Mr. Or Mrs. I don't know, Cubicent. Cubescent? Cubiquent. I would like a phonetic spelling of that one. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Pedro, Technical Tuesday, you've hit the bond markets, you've hit the Bitcoiners, that type of stuff, the Russell 2000. What's next, my friend?
All right, so let's check out here real quick. Now, you can see here I'm expecting the bonds, 10-year bond, to get up to that 122 to the 121 area. This is important to understand because as this starts to pump, we're going to see most likely BTC start to pump in relationship to this. I think we will see a BTC correlation in relationship to the 10-year bond here. So I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. I've talked about the how it correlates with what we're seeing within the market here. I think it's really important to understand that BTC and NASDAQ have been correlated. But I think as we start to see the bond, the 10-year bond and 30-year bond start to really pick up, I think we'll see the market transition into BTC correlated, as in like you buy bonds for safety and security, you buy the 10-year for, or you buy Bitcoin for safety and security. And so we're going to watch this. And I think as we start to move forward here, this is what you'll see happen. And so I could be wrong, but I'm paying attention to the correlation here and waiting for it to decorrelate or no longer detach from what's happening with that NASDAQ and see it potentially pull all the way up into and to start playing off of what is happening in the 10-year note. And then we'll see it pull back. But this, I think there'll be a correlation here. So I'm starting to pay attention to this here and watch what is happening. The VIX here, there's nothing being said here that would indicate that we're going to see some major volume. We have seen the last few days where it's picked up above, but nothing too major here. So something to be paying attention to as we move. I would say once we get, if we start to get above that $20 to $30 mark here, or honestly, I think it's 30 is where it says, okay, it's overbought. I think it's 30% is or $30 mark. If we start to see it really push up above that 20 and get above the 200 period moving average here, which is the pink line, I'm pretty positive we're going to see it really pick up and start to push even harder. So, which means that we're going to see a lot of volatility come into the market. Here we go. Now let's check out what's actually happening around the world here. You can see India is come up. We finally hit this area of supply of liquidity.
Is this stocks or currency?
This is going to be their stock market. Again, we're seeing volume step in here again to pay attention to that as the market in India starts to sell off, we're going to start seeing money come in. This is really important to understand into bonds. This is what we're going to see. And I think we'll start to see this market go into crypto, even though India is not, 100% for crypto. I think it is very much, I think many of the institutions understand if America gets involved in there and a lot of the money is going into it, it'd be silly for them not to get into Bitcoin. And so I think a sell-off of this move within India, which is a lot of money, they're the third largest economy in the world per capita, right? They've got a lot of stuff going on. So it'd be silly for them not to put their money. So I would expect if it does start to see a bit of a sell-off, right, as we come in, I would expect that money to go into crypto. And so I'm kind of waiting and seeing, but it's one of those things we want to.
I've been spending a lot of time reading about the India markets because of the tariff situation with Mr. Trump. He is basically blasting India with 50% tariffs, of which I've learned there are big exemptions for like a lot of different types of foodstuffs and that kind of issue. But we, not me and Pedro, but we as in the United States government, the administration, wants India to stop buying the cheap Russian oil. Russia's fire sailing its oil almost near production cost just to bring in hard currency because they need more dollars, and India can provide that to them by buying their cheap oil. Russia doesn't have a lot of customers, and so India is doing that. Would you say this chart is showing that India is being punished for their actions, or just kind of like, meh, the market took it in stride?
Both. I don't think it's one or the other. I think they are starting to be punished. I think America, with Trump's influence, and when we saw what he did with the oil market, like knock that crap off, and the thing hasn't really even gone back up much. So I think this is one of those things that, even though they were expecting to push back up, it will most likely continue up. But I think America will most likely punish them from a geopolitical standpoint, kind of like how Obama did when it came to Russia sanctions, and also how he shorted the ruble, excuse me. And in relationship to the market here. Now, speaking of India, the rupee itself, which I haven't been paying much attention to, I hear it is doing well. That's
rupee.
Rupee. I always mess that up. Rupee. All right. Next, let's check out Russia here. Russia here, again, we saw the huge pump up. We're starting to see a drop into the Russia economy, coming back down into, as Tom says, the idiot box here. So this is where I would expect
maybe
the
that's
market
a
to
channel.
channel. Well, either way, it's consolidation, and we saw the push-up consolidation. What I'm waiting for is to see an increase in volume as we come down to the lows. I think we're going to see money go into a lot of these markets here. The PGJ, which is what we've been following. This is the Chinese market, or Chinese not crypto market,
ETF?
Stocks ETF. This is the Chinese ETF stock market ETF. I know it sounds, it's called the PGJ. And so it's important. We've talked about how we hit our area of supply. We saw it come back down, and then it found support really on the 100 to the 89 area. And now we're starting to see a push. I believe a lot of this is actually coming from just kind of around the world, people really starting to get involved within China. Now, it's important to understand how far is this going to go. We could see it get up to that 40 to 39 area. If we start to see this, I think this is going to be the area or the inflection of a turnaround within the Chinese market. Again, we talked about yesterday how when the U.S. market pulled back, they literally took out about 30% of China's export market, and they went into the African nations, and really kind of picked back up about 26%. But as Tom elucidated on this yesterday, whereas it could be a depleting return, right? Because as they start to buy, it's just a lot of African nations don't necessarily have the money, the juice money, to be able to keep a market going. And so we'll see what happens here. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't really done much, but you've done the traveling. You actually have that ability to look at that. So I think that's really interesting.
It's really a function of corruption, Pedro. That's really they have natural resources out the wazoo in Africa, in many countries. In the north, obviously, oil. In the middle of the country, a lot of things you dig out of the ground and sell for people's fingers, and that type of stuff. And not only that, but cobalt and nickel and all these things that are going into EV, electric, or into batteries and stuff like that. But the problem is the money doesn't make it back into the economy in a nice, good circular style. Like you bring up a lot here, the ratio of manufacturing investment to total investment in that market. And you use the example of when I owned a factory. If I bought $100 worth of stuff at a supplier down the street, he bought stuff from a supplier, he bought stuff from a supplier, he bought stuff from a supplier, and it builds the economy that way. It builds the supplier base. In Africa, a lot of the money just gets spirited out of the country really quickly, and and it doesn't really create that huge cycle. It creates the bare minimum. Doesn't create a competitive market either. Like if a gold mine needs, the effluence filter or whatever to keep the river from being polluted with cyanide, there's one company that does it because it's the guy that's the brother of the guy that owns the mine. So he does that, and there's no competition, which means there's no research into better equipment. They don't upgrade their facilities, and you're missing that whole key part of the economy in which research makes better products. They upgrade their equipment. They do that. Salesmen come and knock on the door. Our mousetrap is better. That type of stuff. And the owners spirit the money off to mostly Europe and the Middle East and to Dubai and stuff like that to go shopping. And it's their money. I get it. The mine owner's money. And a lot of times it's the country owns it nationally. They've nationalized the industry. And instead of the mine owner spiriting the money out, it's the government spiriting the money out. That's the real issue. I mean, and so they don't invest in education. They don't invest in infrastructure. They don't blah, 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 blah. But everyone's got fat Rolexes, though. Well, not everyone. The top 0.001%.
I was going to say everyone, you mean the very top. Yeah. Okay, so I can see that. Yeah. Say again?
Cubic watches on Rumble regularly, just usually recorded because of work, and it's pronounced like cubic.
Cubic.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. You know what? We're a little early for the audience chat section. Oh, we're right in the middle of the audience chat section. Never mind. We always like to learn a little bit about our viewers because we like to cater to, Pedro and I like to talk about what we want to talk about, but we get more viewers when we talk about what you want to talk about. So let us know what you're interested in. Are you a day trader? Are you just being entertained by my wonderful personality and Pedro's dashing good looks here? Or are you a gold trader? Yeah, so whatever it is. I go on at length. We always like to know a little bit, and we do know a little bit about this guy, DYOR Baby's in the house. DYOR Baby, who is one of the people that we can brag about here because he listened to Pedro and was it Avalanche or Algorand or one of those things, and he made enough money in the trade to take his beautiful wife on a vacation of her lifetime. Or just a cool cruise, whatever it was.
Space Cat. We've had quite a few people.
Yeah, Space Cat did well. When is Algo? Here, see, it was Algo. That's right. That's right. When is Algo going to make another thing? He wants to know because he made the monies and went on the big cruise and didn't get the norovirus.
Yeah. We're going to go over some of that
my
stuff.
My humor is on level 10 today. No, it's on level 11. Speaking of new Spinal Tap coming out for the reunion tour.
There we go. I really didn't listen much to the Spinal Tap.
It's the famous line, our amplifiers go to 11. It's one of those movies like Happy Gilmore. It's one of the best, worst movies ever. It's an awful movie. It's terrible. But with Mike McKean and all the other guys in it, all comedians, it's stupid funny.
Cool. I got to go watch it then. Spinal Tap. I'll have to mess with it. Let's go ahead and move forward here as we start to continue. So we can see here PTJ is pushing up. Now, we talked about our US dollar trade. It is officially off. We're watching to kind of see a sell-off. We're coming back down to that 95 area. We're expecting us to kind of first get up to that 102, 101 area. We kind of came up to the 101 area or to the 100 area, but then we saw the sell-off. We got in on this trade at around that 97 area. Our stop would have been around this 96 area. And as we saw, this was about an 8-to-1, 7-to-1 ratio. We saw it come down, hit the liquidity, push back up. We took our profits up in here. The first profit set was here. The second one is going to be up in that 102 area. But 60% of our trade would have been pulled off at this level here, around that 100 area as we pulled back. Now, I did not continue here. So we're going to remove the US dollar trade here. We're going to place a liquidity area right here at the lows here, which is going to sit around that 96,377 area. Now, we're going to look at some of the volume coming in But this is the area that I'm looking for this market to kind of pull back down to. There was a guy who came in and talked about the sell-off here, and I agreed with him, but I said all depends on if Trump can nail down the tariffs that are being talked about. If we can talk about this and actually get the job done and get, like I said, a few things like jobs being created from an industrial standpoint of engineering jobs that create things. Those areas are going to be really important, like I've talked about. And we're seeing a lag in that, a slowing down of that. Plus, the tariffs themselves, again, we haven't fully made everything clear with China. We haven't fully made everything clear with India, right? And so, and he's talking big game in relationship to, if you do business with Russia, I will bring higher sanctions against you, right? And we will not do business, and the tariffs will keep going higher if you keep taking in Russian oil. Again, this isn't good for tariff talks.
Right.
And so this is again slowing down US trade around the world, or trade around the world, because people have to buy US dollars to go through and to allow for trade. So we're watching the US dollar sell off here in relationship to that. I'm expecting if we get below that with volume, 96,362. And I actually forgot to show you guys. I use this because it's quick and easy, but really where I look at my volume, and I should have let you guys know this. This is actually it's going to be the USDX, US Dollar Index. And you can see here, this is where I get really my volume based off of what is actually happening. You can see here.
Wow.
That we're really, what's up?
Just looking at the overall volume, the past just down.
Yeah. It's dropped. Yeah, absolutely. Like we talked about this, boom, right? Especially since April, right? Like he was talking a great game, but then we saw a kind of rebound. But again, this is where we were looking to take this trade here, right? I said, all right, guys, if this does take off, we should see a market go up. We saw it go up, and then again, we pulled liquidity right here. We saw it go up again, but now we're following through. So you can see here, as the volume starts to sell off, this is what I'm looking at to see what's happening with the volume. Now let's go back to the Dixie here real quick, to our chart that I typically look at. One of the things to be paying attention to is as we start to come down to that 95, 94 area, which we were talking about originally. I thought we were going to come down here originally as we were coming down here fully, but not so much anymore. Obviously it shot up, but now it's continuing that trend. And again, that 94, 90 or 95, 94 area here is one of those things that we very much could see happening. And I think we'll probably see within maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, if Trump if he isn't able to solidify the tariff talks with India and with China. People will keep shorting the market. Now we're going to go into the U.S. debt here right now, because again, this also plays a big role of whether or not people are going to keep going and trusting America. We talked about this yesterday. The money
up in the corner of the X.
Oh yeah. Thank you. My brain was like, dang, I hate it when this happens. Thank you so much. All right, so we are coming up close to halfway point in the every 100 days. Most people don't realize that we actually add an additional $1 trillion to the U.S. debt. You can see right here, we're about to cross the 37.5 area here. All right, we need more of this right here. And what am I going to say? Private sector jobs that correlate with, where is it at? Manufacturing jobs. Okay, we need these two to have a big boom. These two is going to be very important. If we do not get these two to pump, then this will keep getting crazier. Okay, we need manufacturing jobs that push our GDP to a higher level. And if we do not do that, then the US dollar, the trust in the US economy is going to keep dropping. And this is really important to understand, because if the world can't trust America to back it up, they're going to keep pulling away from the US dollar and honestly look to BTC and crypto in general. We're seeing so many treasury companies already on Ethereum, on now they're talking about Doge, a treasury company. We already know Michael Saylor has a treasury company on BTC. We also know that Trump has a treasury, or not Trump, but excuse me, Eric Trump has a treasury with with Crow, right? So these are these things that people are already starting to hedge their way in case a dollar hegemon just completely implodes on itself. Go ahead, bro. What were you going to say?
I just wanted to, you brought up Treasury. I had an news article queued up that a bunch of Treasury firms are actually trading below the value of their Bitcoin. And that is a bearish, as the headline says here, that is bearish. Bears winning as meaningful discount emerges for at least 4 Bitcoin Treasury firms. And I'm not going to go through the companies, but MicroStrategy is not one of them. They're trading at a big, still at a higher net asset value than they're worth. But a lot of these firms who jumped into it, the treasury business, I think it's just a gimmick. Like, let's pump the share, sell some options, make the monies, and then we'll reassess our situation later. But the market is really effing good, and people are shorting. People are shorting them, selling their stock off, that type of stuff. So I guess I guess we can look at that real quick. The company names 13 by 4 trading at discount. Semler Scientific. Yeah, that was a scientific instrument company. They're like, we're going to be a Bitcoin treasury. Yeah, no. Saquon's DDC Enterprise and Bitcoin Treasury Corp. And I bet over the next couple of days or the next week or so, we'll see more of them slip into that.
And speaking of that, so I think one of the things that people are going to notice is if you're going to do a treasury, you need to do a treasury on something that's already low. You don't want to buy something that's already high. I mean, when you look at what Eric Trump did with Crow, he bought Crow when it was at literally 6, 7, 8 cents, right? He was able to literally put a $1 billion position down at those levels. So when it exploded, when they announced that their treasury would be, exploded all the way to 37 cents, and now it's still around 24 cents, 25. But he's 3x'd easily his. What's up? What do you?
I'm just like, the money the Trump family's making from this is more than they've ever made in real estate. All those years they're struggling with casinos and airlines and managing buildings and this kind of dealing with tenants. They're like, let's just put out a press release saying we're starting this crypto fund, and boom, $6 billion.
Not just more than that, but just the idea behind. Listen, I can't fault Eric Trump understanding where the industry is going.
No, not even me either.
Like, I mean, how do you not? I mean, if I had $3-4 billion sitting at my disposal, and you see where everything's going, and then you look, okay, what is the best bang for our buck? Let's find a mid-cap, solid, crypto, and let's put a position in. Let's create our own type of brokerage where we can actually set things up correctly, and then more importantly, be able to capitalize on a new technology that's more efficient than the previous technology. He was just smart. He was smart in this. And then
totally.
I don't think Trump, I don't think Donald Trump understands crypto per se. He was just regurgitating the information that his son sent him. Like, I will give the right.
Totally believe that. Yep.
CBDC will never have its way in America. I will always fight for self-custody and self-regulation within crypto. This is, I'm paraphrasing here, but this is what he said on Bitcoin 2024, excuse me, right? And with that statement, he got every single crypto individual to back him and say, we got you, we're going to vote because we believe it, because that's true freedom. And on that back end, we saw literally, as he kept talking, he didn't know what he was talking about. So I think that statement itself came from Eric Trump, who I think does understand where the market is and what is actually being done. I think he is a Chad. I think he is a buy and holder, a diamond hand, right? Like I do. Like when you hear him talk sometimes, he's got all the aggression that Donald Trump had without the grace. Not grace, but you know what I'm saying? He's just much more aggressive guy.
Yeah.
And so, and in that same sense, you would sit there and say, Dad, this is where it's going to be. This is what you need to say and how you need to say it to get this. And then I think a lot of us. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I worry. I don't worry so much about Donald Trump. I worry about Eric Trump because he doesn't give a shit about things. For instance, his father is always in a suit. Have you ever seen him the only time you see him not in a suit is when he's playing golf, right? He's got a golf shirt on. And he's always looking proper. And you see him in a suit. Eric Trump gets on big time podcasts.
Yeah, he does.
And it looks like he just crawled out of bed. Like he's got a hat on, he's unshaved, bags eyes, like, and he gets going, and you're like, what he's saying is all fine. It's on topic. But you're like, he doesn't care if he gets up and he looks like hell. He's just like, we're making bank and we're moving forward. And you're just like, it's just one of the things that it's just, it's one way to get rich is to be rich. So
yeah.
Welcome baby Draco to the house.
Now,
thanks for joining us on Rumble. Diamond balls, yeah. He's definitely got diamond balls because he can afford it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
And if you're new to crypto, what we mean diamond hands mean is people who basically buy and hold. That's really what that means. It's a crypto term. I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys know that who do watch us. But if you hear the term diamond hands, it just means that somebody who buys and holds forever. And they don't sell their position. And so diamond balls is literally a term which means it goes much further than just diamond hands, because it means that their heart is rock or their heart is diamonds. They ain't gonna move. That next level would be a Chad or diamond balls hold. And so this is where it's just that next level of stability. And I think we see that with Eric Trump. Now, I think a lot of people disagree because there's a lot of people on Twitter or X that talk about literally how he, talked about ETH shooting up and then it sold off. He talked about Bitcoin shooting up and it sold off. So a lot of people do assume that he might be just selling off on them. I don't think so. I think because he's got too much business going on in crypto, that it would be stupid for him to do that, and we can track everybody's wallet. So once his wallets are tracked fully, if it looks like that, then he would be fully. And there are people who do track his wallet, so it's going to be really interesting to see. A team of endearment.
Jesus, where am I?
All right, so let's go.
Well, hold on, Pedro. I skipped.
Yeah.
I skipped the commercial break because we're running behind and we have no commercials to read. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm trying to do, introduce the show every half hour for you new viewers. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here. Man in the box next to me is Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. We bring you a daily show Monday through Friday from about noon to 2 p.m. Regarding digital assets, crypto policy, regulation, and generally some just whacked out banter a lot. But we're here to educate you and entertain you. So if you got any questions, let us know. If you're watching this on the replay, there's a comment section. You can ask us questions and we'll answer you, or just come back tomorrow and we'll be here and we'll talk to you live. This is Technical Tuesday. Pedro and I are going over the markets. Welcome baby Draco to the house. Jesus says that if he was rich, it would be like Hugh Hefner wearing a robe all day. I can just see the mad Peruvian out there. You know what? It wouldn't be Hugh Hefner. It would be Scarface, right?
Scarface.
First, you get the money. Then you get the power. Then you get the women. That's the Peruvian Scarface over there. People walk into his car dealership and they open the door. There's a hot tub and he's got a gold chain on and two women on either side. You buy a car? No, get the fuck out.
Get out.
And he says he has a scar on his face. The Peruvian Scarface, the new name. I gotta get some Scarface sound effects.
Dude, that's his net, bro. That's what we need. When we introduce him, we need to do the Scarface. That's his vocal moniker that we're gonna bring on for him. That's awesome. First you get the car,
epic.
Then you get the shell from the car, then you get the money, you buy the women.
Then you get the rims.
Then you get the
get
rims.
40s on there. Then you get the coca. Then you get the women.
I would say, man.
At first, you get the subwoofers. Then you get the curb feelers.
Yeah. Okay.
This can go on all day.
And you get the carburetor. You get the carburetor. Anyways, all right. Let's move forward here. All right, guys. Let's check it out here. Okay, so we have the DYX selling off. Okay, remember that we're starting to see really also a correlation between the US dollar and Bitcoin. I think we're going to see a separation there as we start to move forward. If and the reason why I say this, because people are going, if we do see a sell-off, people are going to want to put their money somewhere. And I think we'll see it for a sell-off. I don't think it will go into the US dollar. I think it will go into Bitcoin, especially the fact that the US dollar does start to drop even harder as we keep increasing that debt. Next, let's check out here for gold and crude oil. Now, this I'm going to go over quickly, just simply because it has nothing really to pertain. We're seeing it go up here. I think we're going to stay in this this consolidation box here. Most importantly, just simply because people, just literally Trump has that power, like legit.
Oh, you got crude oil up there, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to go.
You said we're going to go over gold and crude oil, but then put up crude oil first.
Crude oil. Sorry. We're going to go over crude oil first and then go down. So you can see here, I think we're going to stay between that 65 and 61 area here. You can see that they're definitely putting in the volume around here, right? Like around this level here. And so I think this is where we'll just see it priced for maybe the next 3 to 6 months, literally because we're coming into winter. And so when there's winter, right, we typically see the price itself of crude oil as we leave the summer months of where people normally drive more, you typically kind of gets depressed there. And so I think that's what we're going to see here for the next 3 to 6 months until we come back into spring. So just keeping that there. Let's go ahead and move forward here into, come on.
Gold.
Sorry. Gold here. Gold here is nearing our top here. Again, our original market was that 3,500 is what we talked about. Or was it? Yeah, I think it was 3,500. It was 3,500, but once we hit it and we started to see the sell-off, I realized, no, they're putting in more of a position again, right up in here with higher lows and higher highs coming in. So I said, yeah, they're going to push it. So the next level market here is going to be that 38 to 4,000 area here. And remember, the higher and higher we go here is a sign that basically people are lacking trust in U.S. in relationship to a continuation on a short term. Right, this is where you hold your money on a short term. So this is where we're seeing a big push in gold here as well. Now, I think we're going to hit this 2,800 probably this week, if not next week. And so with that said, if it does do that, we'll probably see something of this nature where it comes up and then comes down.
Wait, did you say 2,800?
Excuse me, not 20, 3,800. 3,800 to 4,000 area.
I was like, woo, now that's a short sale, 2,800.
Yeah, no. Will come up. It actually may come back down to that 33, but I think we have more upwards momentum coming in on gold because as we start to progress here, especially with Trump and what's happening just around the world in relationship to the markets at large, I think the market's going to go into Bitcoin and crypto in general, and also gold, just as a hedge against the dollar, as well as potentially a huge sell-off. If that does happen, then that's going to be great for our bags and hence great for, well, our bags. So that's it in a nutshell on that.
I got big bags, man. I got the big bags.
I've got big bags. You've got big bags. Who's got the biggest bags of all? Sorry. Okay. Let's talk about silver here. What's up?
I said that dates us.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So you can see I'm an old guy, 46 here, or 45, about to be 46. So here we go. I'm about to be on the other side, bro. Closer to 50. Sad. Sad day. All right. So you can see here in relationship to this area here, we're watching it push up into that 43 area to 44, seeing it pull back. Again, as gold continues higher, we're going to see an increase and an exponential increasing as it tries to kind of keep balance with gold. And so there's going to come a point in time when the new AI chips really start to create a deep demand for silver. In addition to that, also seeing it keep in relationship to with inflation, we'll see again silver pick up. So I think silver is another one to really kind of push up. If we see a pullback on silver from that 44 area, I'm looking roughly between the 140, or excuse me, not 140, but $40 to the $37 area here. And the zone that I'm looking for to pick it up would be that weekly zone or monthly zone, which is going to be roughly around right here. Give me 1 second, my peoples. All right. Okay. All right, so if we do pull back, I'm expecting a pullback down around that 36 area, and also on your daily, or excuse me, on the weekly area, roughly around, like I said, that 40 to 36, 37 area is what I'm looking at for a pullback. I know that's a major pullback there. Okay, so I get that, but it's gonna it needs to, because you can see how it's starting to push up here and then pull back. Right, we're not really seeing a super increase in volume into it yet. Like it was different at this level here, and we'll go into that in a second. You can see here, like as we were pushing up, right, you could see how price was peaking, pulling back into this area, and then pushed back up. This is what I'm expecting at this level here. That's what we saw, right? We saw volume kind of push up, and now we're starting to see it taper off. So that's why I expect a pullback at these levels here for silver. The bellwether of the economy here. Here we go. Silver, bring back all my silver from high school. I 10x from high school. You probably are, man. In all honesty, I mean, I'm assuming you went to school back in
all the way in the 2017s. We're oldsters, Pedro. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, quick audience chat section of the show here. Pedro will hit this quick. So
yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. But so, thanks to everyone watching here today. Jesus has got the. I'm guessing perhaps you acquired some silver or had it unacquired from you during your time in school. I think you mentioned getting robbed in school once. Your chain yanked or something like that. Anyway, thanks to Chuck Jansen for coming back and watching in between mining fiat out in Oklahoma out there. Got a big fiat mine there taking care of the old people. Chuck provided us some great insight into how doctors are using AI now, and Pedro and I are talking about firing up the old crypto life. I'm sorry, the AI life show. So we're going to be coming up with topics to talk about that. So thanks for joining us, Chuck Jansen.
It's gonna be fun.
And if DYOR Baby and Cubicent or Cubic or whatever it is, and crew are still listening, thanks a lot. Drop us a comment or two if you're just sitting there passively listening to keep our chat rate up, because it helps with the old algo, and that's what we're here for.
Good old algo.
All right, Pedro, we can move on.
All right. Then when we talked before, yeah, I would love to know, man, Chuck, we need you to come on when we do that. I think Chuck would be a great guest, the first one, just to talk about the AI in the industry where doctors are just using it. So I want to hear about that. All right, but next, let's move forward here. We can see MicroStrategies here. We talked about it hitting our area right here and starting to see the sell-off come into MicroStrategies. Remember, my first area that I'm looking for is, and again, you can purchase MicroStrategies on, with a fractional stock or through stock fraction shares through Robinhood or whatever, right? But one of the things I think is really important to pay attention to is literally this area here. If BTC sees a bit of a sell-off, which we're going to talk about how that looks kind of from a grand scheme into next month, seeing the sell-off first for the demand wick and then seeing it go up, right? And so that's where I'm expecting it potentially to see a sell-off down to that 237 or roughly around that 250. If I could be lucky and see MicroStrategy come down to that 204 to 185, almost as a flash sale, I'm going to be picking it up around these levels as well, but be paying attention to that. Let's talk about Tesla. Yesterday,
hold on, Pedro, on MicroStrategy, what was that moving average on MicroStrategy there? This red line here, that's 200.
Yeah,
400 period moving average. All right.
Yeah, it's 400 day period.
All right, you don't want to be breaking that line, otherwise bad news. All right, sorry to interrupt you there.
No, yeah. Absolutely. Let's talk about Tesla. Yesterday, Mr. Musk went through and bought $1 billion worth of shares, and we saw a huge jump up. I was expecting Tesla to sell off, but it didn't. It actually kept the momentum going over from Thursday and Friday, especially with the whole entire $1 trillion market package for him, which is crazy. But if that does happen, then it's just kind of crazy for me. I see him literally selling and repurchasing it at lower levels again, which would be just nuts.
Chuck, we'll hit Shiba Inu and after Pedro's done with his regulars here.
Yeah, so this is important to be paying attention to here. Done like Meta skyrocket. You can see here, I thought we were coming back down to the 700. It didn't. Where's Apple? Apple I thought was really interesting to see the sell-off from what they came out with. But we're seeing over the last few days, again, pushing back up. Again, didn't even come out to the liquidity down at that 223 area. This is an indication of a market that might sell off because we're watching volume drop off here, right, and sell volume pick up as we were coming in. So that's why I might expect a further sell-off on Apple. Now let's go ahead and go into crypto here real quick. BTC we already covered this morning, early morning. ETH is selling off. I do expect ETH to come down and test our lower areas here of that 42.11 area in hopes. We did hit our liquidity area here. Let me remove these here. Boom. And I'm looking at this liquidity area here on that 50 area here. Let me remove these now. We're going to tap this here real quick. I'm just going to put this as a buyer wick. All right. Okay, guys, so you can see here that if we're coming down, I'm looking at that 50 period or that 8 period moving average on the weekly chart here. And if we stay still roughly around here, this is a good place for buyers to kind of step in if we come in with volume. The key point to be paying attention to is the monthly volume coming in. If we're already halfway through the month, we already have peaked above halfway through the previous month's volume, which means that we'll probably end higher this month with more volume, more buyer volume coming in. And so if by the end of the month we're still roughly around this area with that amount of volume, that's a huge indication for traders to say, hey, look, I want to get in this trade because there's a lot of buyers stepping in as it sold off, which means you have a stability there that will continue up. And with all the treasuries happening here, I think this stagnant area here would be another area that we could see the next push up from the highs from last month into, again, dare I say, 7,000 ETH by 2 months from now or a month from now. That's very plausible, especially the way this is setting up. Let's check out Shiba Inu right off the jump here because I know that one of our guys wants
Shiba Inu.
Alrighty, so you guys can see here, Shiba Inu has been fighting with this monthly 8-period moving average, especially that 20. That crossover right here is basically just a bearish signal for any type of traders, right? You don't want to see that. So if I'm seeing that on the monthly chart, and I see it sell off, I at least want to see an increase in buyers here, and I'm not seeing that here. You can see here we're already halfway through the market, or halfway through the month, and I'm not seeing an increase in volume for Shiba Inu. So with that said, if we close above that 8-period moving average right here, and I see it go down into next month, I would expect it then to go up towards the end of the month and test that 000, or 4079 area here on that monthly chart. And so, but it's got to stay above that 8-period moving average. We came into the demand wick here. We saw it pull back and now pushing up. When I'm looking at that weekly chart, again, I want to see increase in volume, buyer volume, and we're not seeing that. So we've got to see that with this end of this, at the end of the week here. I want to see it close green for me to have really conviction to go long on Shiba Inu. Right? If I'm going to deploy my cash, I want to see the areas that will progress and make sure that my cash is making money, especially from an alpha standpoint. Alpha means that you actually generate income off of your investments. For those that don't know it, let's talk about Doge here. Doge is actually pulling back, but we're seeing again an increase in volume stepping in right here. Right here, increase in volume as we sell off, and we're creating higher highs, or higher lows, higher lows, higher high, higher high, higher low. I believe this was the lower low there. So this is an indication for me saying Doge is looking strong. And so even at this moment, even we're halfway through this week, and we're not even halfway of the volume on the sell-off. So again, if I'm a buyer and I want to get in on something that's going to pump, if I had to pick between Shiba and Doge, I'm looking to Doge because I know that my risk to reward there is pretty high. I mean, look, from 26 to 43 at least, and I most likely is going to go higher because what do we keep seeing? Higher high, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So we're going to see this thing continue up potentially to that $60 mark area as we start to progress. And maybe even, dare I say, that 76 all-time high area here for Doge. It's looking strong. We're seeing volume step in. So if I'm going to deploy my cash, I want to be
70-cent area.
Sorry, what did I say?
$70.
Oh, yeah, sorry. No, 70-cent area, which is sitting right here. Thank you for that catch, my friend.
I was like, holy mackerel.
$70 for that would be insane. Maybe in 30, 40 years when we're on
Mars.
On Mars, when I can actually go there and be like, with my family, be like, hey, we're headed to Mars, let's go. Or future family. I don't have a family, but future kids one day. I probably need to get on that. I'm getting old. But I'm always healthy, so I'm running more. And dude, I can run a mile now. Anyways, focus here. I've got a few more minutes left here. All right, Matic. So if I'm looking at another organization to put my money in, to create a treasury and to see things actually going to be built, I would be looking at Matic. I would be looking at ADA. Like these things, right, are still low in comparative to a lot of the other coins, right? Like when you look at Solana is almost at its all-time high. I'm not gonna try to create a treasury with Solana at these highs. The best time to have bought and created treasuries was literally a treasury was around when it was at that $90, that $92 area, right? That huge pullback that we talked about when I was on Shogun, right? Where I said, this is where we're headed to. This was at the beginning of 2025, end of 2024 area, right? These coming down to these lower areas here. And so if they're going to create treasuries, I'm looking for AVAX. I'm looking for a Litecoin because look at the lows that it's sitting at compared to the upwards potential that I could see get up at that 420, right? Area. Same idea with DOT. DOT is very much a treasury area. If you look at Link is another one that I would be looking at as a treasury.
Link, yeah. I'm. You know what? I need to follow up on if the U.S. government is actually starting. I know it takes time to spin programs up, but they're going to start using Link along with other ones, but other chains. But they're going to start using Link to track the Bureau of Labor Statistics stuff. It's very interesting.
Absolutely. So let's check out Link here real quick.
Pedro, we got. I can put another few minutes back on the clock if you need time there. Right. I'm not being rushed today.
Okay, perfect then. Thank you. I appreciate that, Tom. So you can see here that we busted through this area, which we had right here, and it found support on it. So we're going to actually make this an area of support, which is sitting right here. And you can see, like, I'm going to set this here for now. We need to mark that I did not. This was after the fact. I want to mark that there because typically I do it before the fact, but I want to have this here because if we push a higher high, this area again will most likely act as some form of support. So I want to put that. I'm going to put this on after the looking for a pullback.
Everyone, as usual, we got a little late start today. Actually, not that late today, just a couple of minutes, but we're going to go a little long today. Pedro's apparently got a lot to talk about today, so we're going to go with it. I've got a few news articles, but all of them can wait till tomorrow. So we'll get the market stuff out here today.
Yeah, Leash did drop Baby Draco. That was pretty sad.
Carmen Crypto coming to us on the YouTubers. Thank you for joining us, Carmen Crypto.
The problem is I was expecting Shiba Inu to pump, Chuck. I really was, or Fire Chicken, like I did. But the problem is that if I'm looking at it, it's not. I don't see a ton of volume coming in, right? And it's more or less just kind of sitting in that no man's land. It could pump, but I think it would be based off of a Doge pump, not necessarily off of a Shiba Inu pump. And I want to see Shiba Inu because I got SHIB. You know, like I want to see a pump, but the reality is when I look at it, it's just not, you know, like I'm looking more at Doge. You know, I just am. I am. I'm when Doge sells off, I pick up a little Doge. I have a friend of mine who bought it when it was at 6 cents, 5 cents when it came down to those levels, right? And I said, just hold on, stake them, and just wait. You know, and you know, he's a nurse and makes good money. And I said, do you need that money? He says, no. And I said, just go stake it then. Leave it alone. Stake it. You're good. Come back to it in 10 years, right? And just every month, make sure you restake it. And so he's like, all right, cool. And that's what he's been doing for the last few years, right? So been good on him. Now let's check out Link here. Link again is kind of at its all-time high. But the thing is here with Link, it's one of those ones that the U.S. government is definitely starting to get behind it. We talked about this area becoming Link becoming kind of a intrinsic part of the crypto system here in America. And so this is where I look at this going, if we're going to see a move, this would be another move where we could see a potential 100, 200 Link, which would be crazy. And if you don't mind me asking, what is the market cap on Link? I can't
$16 billion with 700 million traded in the past 24 hours. Very, very, very big chain.
Yeah, so that's at 22. I could see it literally, dare I say, a 10x, right? Where we get to a $200 because of the need for it in America and the transactions that are going to be taking place on it. And so this is where that need for it comes from America and what we're trying to do on the blockchain. And so it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, I expect as this starts to push up, right, meme coins are going to come on it. We're going to see meme coins on Link start to really get going. So we'll start to see.
What I would like to see is people write apps to analyze U.S. government data. Then that means companies will be founded, money will be invested, Link will get bought. If that narrative gets going, then Link could 10x. I mean, God forbid they say we put the Pentagon budget on Chainlink. And then all bets are off. And today, Chainlink went up 1,000x, everybody. Escalades are all sold out now.
Talked about jumping back here real quick.
Hold on,
Crow.
Pedro.
So we talked about Crow coming down.
No.
Yep.
Sorry, your audio connection just dropped. It wasn't your mute button; it was your connection. You're good.
Okay. All right. So thank you. Because you can see here that Crow here. I said don't buy it up here at that 39 cents, 37 cents. So we want to wait for a pullback. So right now we've kind of hit that first pullback area here, which is going to be sitting around that 22, 23 cent area here. And so we're already starting to see buyers coming in, but not in an exaggerated amount. So I'm expecting again for it to pull back down potentially, and down to that 15 cent area here. If we can see it pull back to this area here, I think we will see most likely a buy-in with Mr. Trump, most likely, because he's got to protect that position here.
Well, it's entirely possible too that they realized some cash and sold a quarter of their position out slowly and put a couple $100 million in the bank. That's not a dumb thing to do when you're dealing in this market. So you know what? We just made $6 billion, or whatever the numbers are. Whatever they are, we'll just round it to $1 billion. Say let's put $250 million in our pocket, and then we're gonna have a really nice Christmas this year because we're all getting Gulf Streams.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, he went from his average. I think it was 7.6, like 7 cent 6 around there was his average price, and it went from 7 all the way up to 30. Was it 39? So I mean, 7, 14, 21, 28, 30, 17, 21, 28. Come on, brain. That would be 35. Sometimes you're just like, come on, brain. Like 35. So he's easily done a 5x there, right? And put it in his pocket. And we're talking a couple $1 billion that he was able to put in. So that if I was him, I would have done the same thing. I mean, especially if you put what was it, $6 billion or $5 billion into the treasury, right, at these lower levels. So now he's sitting on not a couple hundred, but what was it?
It's a shit ton of cash.
Yeah. I was going to say 6 times.
We'll just round it up to that exact number. A shit ton.
30 billion. Yeah, 30 billion right here, right? Just from at these levels. So I could see him pulling back into this area. I'm going to be looking, honestly, again, to start to repurchasing around that 23 to 15 cent area here. And so one of the things you also could be looking at is that area right here. We could potentially see a push up here short term. Which would be roughly around this level here. Again, that's going to be that 20 cent to 19 cent area here based off of the 50 period moving average and on the weekly 8 period sitting right here. That was the previous high. And so this would definitely become an area of support. I think we'll see a wick down where we'll see it come up, pop, kind of go from here, wick down, boom, and then go back up, which will most likely have a V-shape kind of recovery there. Alrighty, next one here real quick is, where was it? H&T. Again, I have to admit I have H&T, but we're watching a huge volume kind of come into H&T last week with a good amount of volume that actually was higher than the previous previous weeks that we had green weeks. And so something is a brewing here. And I'm kind of expecting that small little pullback over the week. If we want to see it find support on the 8 period moving average. Now we've been buying H&T as it was coming down to that $2. I was hoping for the 150 again, like what we saw at the lows of the last bull run here. But in that same sense, you can see here that it is starting to find some support and there are buyers stepping in. So I would expect to see a bit of a pullback first, come back down to that roughly, what was it, $2.20 area for a pullback and then kind of pull back up and to continue higher. So we'll see what happens. But ultimately, it's got to close above that 8 period and the 20 period on the weekly. The fact that it keeps piercing it and it's trying to push higher. The fact that this week alone, we barely made any real dent in the seller volume stepping in, and it's already almost halfway through the week. I would expect to see us honestly kind of come down quick and push back up. So we'll see what happens here towards the end of the month. Next one. Do you guys have any questions you guys want me to check out here real quick? That's why I was confused. So many Twitter people talking about it today and didn't know why. H&T, or are you talking? Was he talking about?
SHIB. That was back from
SHIB.
the SHIB talk.
Okay, got you. All right. Okay. What was the other one I wanted to point out here? Where are you at? Oh, that's what it was. So this is one of the ones for Cosmo. I'm looking to see if we're going to see a pump here. There's a lot of gamings that we've talked about here, and this is one of the ones that I'm definitely looking at to kind of take profit if it really starts to get up and go. Cosmo is one of those ones that has a huge risk to reward ratio, sitting at $4 right now, but it can get all the way up easily to 44 if it catches wind. It's another blockchain that is doing a lot, has got a huge community. A lot of people know how to use it. And so it's one of those ones that I think you need to be paying attention to. And at these low levels of 455, I could easily see somebody stepping in, creating some type of treasury for it, and really see it kind of pick up and go. So at that 455 area, and starting to see buyer volume starting to step in as we start to push lower here, is one of those ones that I'm like, you got to pay attention to this because something's a brewing here. And so, pick up a little bit again.
Here.
Something. So it's kind of one of those ones I'm just looking at here. You can see increase in volume. We're starting to see it consolidate, as Tom says, in the idiot box. So it's one of those ones I'm looking for it to continue higher. Ultimately, if it doesn't, you're getting it at a lower rate here. If and you can, you're on most of the centralized exchanges, you get at least 13 to 15% for staking on Cosmo. And so even if it doesn't really push higher, you're getting a 13 to 15% yield on a daily just for letting your money sit. And so again, even if it doesn't, you're still seeing capital increases in it. And then again, you can restake that on a monthly basis and receive a better reward on that. Been stacking Cosmos since 2022. Great rates. Yeah. Been painful to watch though. I agree, man. Just seeing it just consolidate here for almost for almost a year. But either way, you see how somebody is, look at the tightness of that. That's starting to come in here. And the fact is that we've already pushed through to the 100. Once they get through that 400, just from an actual standpoint of people buying and selling, I can see seeing the market just want to push it higher. So as we keep seeing these moving averages come closer to price, it makes it easier for it to get down through it. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. So that's about it for what I want to go over. But ultimately, keep your eye on Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin does see a huge increase, then a sell-off, and then a push back up is what I'm looking for. So kind of looking for this, something like this, and then push up. So fingers crossed, we'll see it continue. All right, my friend.
I'll probably turn this into a show of its own. Probably either tomorrow or the next week, about the Bank of England and country. I should say, just picking on England, but countries that are blowing it. And our friend Anton Golub made a comment today in response to mine on LinkedIn. He said, "Wow, what a change the U.S. has made, and how quickly it's you never see governments totally about face and go 100% the other direction. Like the only other times it's like war, everything's fine. War, let's go that way. But with crypto and especially stable coins, we saw the U.S. do a complete U-turn. And the Bank of England just decided to put their toes in it. And they said, okay, stable coins are good, but you can only hold $10,000 of it, or 10,000.
Which is the most silliest things. I didn't even understand that. Like, you talk about, like, it's like literally stick your foot in. Oh, that feels great. Okay, no. Like,
right.
It was like
nobody. What they need is the sterling, the British pound could not duplicate, but at least be in the same league as U.S. dollar stable coins, because England has very good sovereign debt. So they can say, you got to buy our debt to back your stable coin. That would work. And people would like it, especially UK-centric and European finance companies and that type of stuff. It would work well for them. And they blew it. We'll talk about this in another episode down the road, that type of stuff. But
quick question for you. Quick question.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So because it is an inning, the parliament has been increasing in Islamic influence. Would you say that has been one of the primary reasons why maybe that they don't want to go there? Or am I wrong? I mean, maybe I misunderstand.
No, I just think that the UK has been taking backward financial stances now for a long time. And they have a big Elizabeth Warren contingent also that crypto is bad. And so I'm sure this was a compromise. The majority said, we're going to put this through, but we need a few more votes. So they're like, or we'll limit it, that type of stuff. And they even limiting companies to 10 million or something like that. That's like not even a liquidity transfer for Binance. I mean, Binance has to balance funds. It's like
100 million at a time.
Right, 100 billion. We're going to move $1 billion not on their, subcommittees and that type of stuff, much like the U.S. government does. The problem is it's easier for them to pass stupid rules and regulations. They give their agencies kind of unlimited power to change the rules, and they blow it. And this is another case of them blowing it. I've reported on England a number of times of them getting it together, but every time it's one step forward and it's like 10 steps back.
20.
It's like, yes, we're there,
20 steps.
but we've rug pulled you. Yes, we're in crypto, rug pull. Ha, ha, ha. But we're in crypto. We can announce we're in crypto, rug pull.
Yeah.
And they're doing that with stable coins now too. So
fun times. Quick question also.
Right. Yes, sir.
I was wondering, so what I thought was really interesting, right, with crypto and things becoming more digital, I thought was really interesting that Nepal actually went through and Generation Z elected a whole entire government takeover, and they did it literally on Discord, which I thought was so interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pedro. Like I said before the show, I haven't been up to that. But what I was afraid, when you mentioned it, I brought up an article about it, and I was afraid that it was the Chinese influence bringing in their own people. That's how they do it. They have a coup, but they're all China-centric. But then when they said the Discord thing was being used, these people are not at all being influenced by China. They're being influenced by the rest of the world, saying, hey, we want what they got, which is freedoms and the ability to be, kind of the manifest destiny. We want to be in charge of ourselves. We don't want these old guys here telling us what to do. And Nepal has been historically, if not a military junta running it, a closed group of individuals that have been running it and doing that. And we've talked about them, though, being Bitcoin miners,
Yeah.
And the young people said, all right, you're not going to take that money and run. We're going to use it for the country. So good things, ladies and gentlemen, come from bad things come from coup d'etats. Some good things come from coup d'etats, depending on your viewpoint of it and which side of the guillotine blade you're on.
I was going to say which side you're on. It all depends on which side you're on, right?
Oh, that blade's nice and shiny. Oh. Okay. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show today. We had a nice, good show today. Thank you to Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, for all the great information he provides on these Technical Tuesdays. As I say these days, I kind of just shut up and provide entertainment, but occasionally I think that Pedro's going to run out of things to say, so I prepare some news. But he's like the Terminator today. Just keep going. Burp, burp, burp. So we got a lot of good content for tomorrow as well. Good stuff coming up. The over on the news over my shoulder, the murderer of Charlie Kirk just actually was formally charged with first-degree murder in Utah, which there is a hanging sentence. Who's going to hang by the neck?
Are you serious?
And yeah, they still have hanging in Utah.
Dude, this breaks my heart.
Yeah,
Listen,
I mean they could choose the firing squad. I think they
I
can
don't even want.
choose, but they
Here's the
stopped
thing,
the lethal injection and.
But here's the thing, like when you look at Christ's views and how he sees things, I think Charlie Kirk's heart would be broken.
Actually, Charlie's well known for supporting the death penalty.
I don't disagree. I know this. But what I'm saying is that like he was a follower of Christ. Christ was primary in his principles and the way he talked about. And again, people like to take that snippet out of him and say, he was for this. But at the same time, he's also a man who said many times that you are to people who literally do you wrong, and you pray blessing on them. Came to earth to win us to him.
That's no excuse for murdering someone. Your brain can be half there. That's bad. I think the opposite. I think he's saying that dude's going down to the devil. He gone. He done. He be with the bad guys. Kind of an odd way to finish the show today, ladies and gentlemen. But news is news, and that's what's going on in the world like that. So as I've said the past couple of days, if there is someone in your life that you are not emotionally fixed with, as they say, never know when your last day is on this planet, as Charlie gave that quite the example of. Make sure you're good to go, because if you're not, huh? I don't know. Oh, your mic's on. You faded out. Hold on, let me reset. Hold on, let me reset this. You there?
Where did you miss? Ka-ching. What did you miss?
When was how long
has
he not been on? Did I miss the whole end of the show? Stop the music too. I can't believe. I know they are here because I'm monitoring the thing. Anyway, let's start the music back up. Hello, Pedro. And I just hit the show end button, but it has nothing to do with the audio button. Hello, Pedro or ka-ching. Pedro, you there? You are. Your audio connection is red right now. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Anyone? Like from when? Like the whole show?
I don't know. I hope not. I hope not. Needed to come to Christ because the point of Christ was while we were enemies of God, he came down to save us and to bring us back to him. So I just feel like that's what was really the heart, I think, of Charlie. That's why he went to schools, to help them understand the love of Christ. So anyways, it's all good, my friend. It is all good.
All I know is, Pedro, is that it all sucks.
Yeah.
It
hurts. Right. I agree.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear when your thoughts on the death. I guess.
That's interesting. Perfect.
Anyway, I was monitoring the sound, and I went out for just a brief minute, but mostly it was you. Maybe it's the great Chinese firewall not wanting us to talk about that either.
Well, we've never had me just slowly just dialed down, which I thought was really interesting. We've just had me just silenced. All right, go ahead, man. It's all good.
I don't know what. Sorry. The show is over, yet I'm still worried about the audio. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining Pedro and I today on this Technical Tuesday. Really appreciate it. Thanks to all of our viewers on Rumble, X, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and wherever else that you're watching us. We'll be here tomorrow at the same bat channel, the same.